The whistle cuts through the air before dawn. There is no sunrise. There is no silence. Small feet touch the cold floor. Tiny hands reach for worn clothes in the dark. The smell of smoke, oil, and iron already fills the lungs. A mistake now costs a finger. A second of distraction can cost a life. No one cries. There is no time. Inside the factory, the machines roar like hungry beasts. Gears spin without mercy. Belts pull, crush, drag. Between them, small bodies move with forced precision. Children slip through spaces where adults cannot fit. They clean, they unclog, they repair. Some do not come back out. There is no school here. There is no childhood here. The question hanging in the air is not when this began, but how it became normal. What we are witnessing is not an exception. It is not an isolated case. It is a system, a routine, the invisible foundation of an entire century. In the 1800s, millions of children worked as adults long before they could write their own names. Not by choice, not by virtue, but because the world demanded it. This era marked a deep rupture in human history. For the first time, labor stopped following the rhythm of nature and began obeying the rhythm of machines. Time was no longer measured by the sun, but by the whistle. And in this new world, childhood became something that could be consumed. Growth was fast, brutal, irreversible. Cities swelled, factories multiplied, production exploded. But the human cost was pushed into dark corners, far from the comfortable eyes of prosperity. The child's body, light, flexible, cheap, became ideal fuel for the engine of modern civilization. It is tempting to imagine the 19th century as a naturally cruel age, doomed to misery from the start. That idea is comforting and misleading. The truth is more unsettling. Before the silent collapse of childhood, there was optimism, there was confidence, there was a promise of a better future. New machines promised to reduce human effort. New cities promised opportunity. Work, people said, would bring dignity. For many adults, that promise was real. For children, it became a sentence. The more efficient production became, the more small hands were required to keep it moving. Industrial cities were vibrant centers of life, crowded streets, lit storefronts, trains connecting entire regions. The world felt smaller, faster, alive. But behind brick walls and iron doors existed another daily reality, a world of endless shifts, poisoned air, and growing bodies shaped by exhaustion. The economy revolved around continuous production: cloth, coal, steel. Nothing could stop. Everything had to flow. Working families depended on every coin. A child's wage was not extra income. It was survival. Eat or starve. Heat the home or endure winter in the cold. There was no clear boundary between home and work. Everything was work. Childhood, as a protected stage of life, did not yet exist as we understand it today. Children had always worked, in fields, workshops, homes, but now they labored in environments that did not forgive weakness. And it was the success of this system that prepared the ground for its darkest side. The more cities grew, the more children were absorbed. The faster production accelerated, the earlier childhood ended. Progress did not stumble over them, it walked straight through them. The origins of this reality did not begin inside factories. They began far away, in slow, almost invisible transformations. Population growth, mechanization, mass migration from countryside to city. Entire families abandoned the land in search of survival and found machines that never slept. The child's body, small and adaptable, fit perfectly into narrow mechanical spaces. It could crawl beneath moving looms, climb chimneys, be paid almost nothing. It did not seem cruel. It seemed logical.
The first contact between childhood and industry arrived quietly. One child here, another there, helping parents, cleaning parts, learning the trade. But soon it became standard. Informal contracts, 12, 14-hour shifts, falsified ages. No one asked, no one inspected. Factories became gateways into a new form of suffering, normalized by necessity and justified by progress. Every industrial city was an entry point. Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, Lyon. Entire regions grew dependent on this model. And once opened, the gate did not close easily. Children grew up inside factories, not outside them. They learned the sound of machines before learning how to read. They learned to endure pain before understanding the world. The spread was relentless, industry by industry, city by city. What worked in one place was copied in another. Coal fed steel, steel fed machines, machines demanded workers, and the cheapest workers were the smallest ones. Over time, the damage became impossible to ignore. Twisted spines, crushed limbs, diseased lungs, fatal accidents. But the gears kept turning. Every lost child was replaced. Silence was part of the mechanism. Adults tried to explain it away. They said work made children strong, that it built character, that it kept them from idleness. Science at the time barely understood child development. Pain was considered inevitable, fatigue a virtue. Some reforms appeared, reduced hours, minimum ages, but enforcement was weak. Inspection cost money, stopping machines cost more, and hunger did not wait for laws. Slowly, something deeper began to collapse, not just bodies, but human bonds. Parents sent children to work out of desperation. Children spent more time with machines than with family. Childhood faded from collective memory. It became a shared absence. And this is where history turns to face us. Because when a society accepts the quiet destruction of childhood as the price of progress, something essential has already broken. The question is not only what happened to these children, but what kind of world allowed it to happen. Fear did not arrive all at once. It crept in slowly. At first, it was just exhaustion, children falling asleep standing, small hands shaking as they tied broken shoes before another shift. Then came the injuries that never fully healed, the coughs that never went away, the children who stopped growing, the children who stopped smiling. People tried to make sense of it. They always do. Some blamed weak families, others blamed fate. Many claimed it was simply the natural order of things. Work had always been hard. Life had always been unfair. This was nothing new, or so they said. Religion offered explanations. Suffering was a test. Hardship built virtue. Obedience was praised. Resistance was dangerous. Science, still in its infancy, offered little comfort. Doctors measured productivity more often than pain. A child who could still work was considered healthy enough to survive. And so the system continued, not because everyone agreed with it, but because no one felt powerful enough to stop it. Parents feared unemployment more than injury. Factory owners feared loss more than lives. Governments feared instability more than injustice. In some cities, the streets began to change. Orphans wandered between factories and alleys, children too injured to work, too young to survive alone. Shelters overflowed, prisons quietly filled with boys accused of theft, girls accused of immorality. Poverty was criminalized, childhood was punished. Desperation breeds extremes, and slowly societies began searching for someone to blame. Immigrants, the poor, the parents themselves, anyone but the system, anyone but the machine that demanded endless labor and offered nothing in return. Rumors spread, stories of moral decay, claims that children needed discipline, not protection, that softness would destroy civilization. Fear hardened into ideology, and ideology justified cruelty. The damage did not remain within city walls. Beyond the factories, the countryside felt the consequences too. Villages emptied as families fled to industrial centers. Fields went untended. Harvests failed. Nature reclaimed abandoned homes. Silence settled where life once thrived. Entire rural communities became ghosts, their children either swallowed by factories or scattered across cities that did not know their names. The invisible world, the farms, the roads, the forgotten villages bore the weight of a system obsessed with growth at any cost. Eventually, the noise began to fade. Not suddenly, not mercifully, but gradually. Machines slowed as markets shifted, wars